The following podcast may contain adult language and an abundance of salt, so get ready to come out of retirement because we're talking nobody. Welcome and thank you for joining us in the Salty Nerd Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the new movie Nobody, and I'm joined as always by the bearded barbarian, Matt Vader. What's up, dude?
I'm looking at my phone.
I see that. How you doing?
Caught me off guard again.
Right.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Here to talk some movies. Yes, having some fun today.
Let's do it. I'm also joined by the ambassador of estrogen, Jude.
Hello.
Nice shirt.
Oh, thank you.
Shout out to Force of Light Entertainment.
Force of Light.
I'm been drinking, guys. Don't worry about it. And last but not least, Matthew Kadish, producer of the show.
It's always weird to me when I see like a comedic actor who crosses over into hardcore action.
Is he a comedic actor?
Bob Odenkirk? Oh, yeah. Like he started off with David Cross on Mr. Show, which was like a sketch comedy thing. And now he's John Wick Part 2.
All right, guys, we're talking about the new movie Nobodies. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We'll dive super deep into this awesome movie. Welcome back, everybody, to the Salty Nerd Podcast. We're going to be talking about Nobody. Before we do, if you'd like to support our drinking habit, go to saltynerdclub.com. Join our Patreon. There you can get exclusive access to all kinds of cool stuff and our drunken rants, as the blooper reels are our main thing that we drop
all my best work.
All of our best work.
On the patron reels, that's for sure.
Shout out to our patrons. Thank you guys very much for supporting the podcast. All right, Nobody. Jude, take it away. What is this movie all about?
All right. 2021, Nobody. Rated R with a runtime of 1 hour, 32 minutes with a budget of $16 million. So far, what do you think it's done?
It's still in theaters, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm going to say it definitely made its budget back. I didn't expect it to be that low.
Wait a second. Whoa.
What?
We're reviewing a movie that's actually in a theater right now?
Yeah, I know. Imagine that.
That's crazy.
Still a little bit.
What's happening?
We're still late to the party, though. I'm going to say it made 60,000 or 60 million. I mean, right now.
Okay,
so
Vader.
I have no idea how to judge movies now.
I know, it's hard.
I really don't.
Post-print.
50, 60.
Post-pandemic?
I guess. I don't
43.9.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
I didn't know there was enough people out there going to the theaters to make that kind of money.
Apparently, people are sick of staying at home.
Thank God for that.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the rundown. Our main character, Hutch, used to be a badass, but now he's retired from badassery. He's a dad and a husband and living his okayest life in the suburbs till one night, two idiots break in and rob him. He lets the robbers go, but afterward receives so much, well, I would have done, from the cops, his neighbor, his son, his boss.
Why are you such a pussy?
Yeah.
Everyone who's not an actual badass is hitting him with the, you know what I would have done if I'd had that happen? Anyway, so then he realizes that the thieves stole his daughter's favorite bracelet, and that's like the final straw. So he tracks the burglars down, which sets off a domino effect of like bigger, badder bad guys, including the entire Russian mob, asking themselves and each other, who is this guy? Nobody.
All right. So I had heard a lot of buzz about this movie. And Kadish has been begging us to talk about it for like a month now. He's like, we got to talk about Nobody. We got to talk about Nobody. And I'm like, nah.
I feel like this is the prelude to Alex just dumping salt.
I never was like, I wasn't into this movie when I saw the trailers and stuff. I was like, okay, it just looks like a generic, like, revenge, angry dude goes out. And like, we've seen Kevin Bacon did a movie similar to this. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it's the basic same plot. Except he's not like a U.S. agent or anything like that.
That movie, it was more like he was a normal guy
who
became a badass after his entire family got killed.
Yeah. The dude that like has his life and his home, his kids, his wife, yada, yada, something gets thrown in, a monkey wrench goes thrown in, then he turns into somebody else and he goes and whoops ass. I've seen this before a million times. It's not the most unique of stories. And the actor, it's Better Call Saul. That's kind of what I know him from. Breaking Bad.
Bob Odenkirk.
What is it?
Bob Odenkirk.
Odenkirk. That's a good name.
Yeah. Hey, put that on the list for your kid.
Bob?
No. Odenkirk.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
Lord Erden, Captain Kirk.
Odenkirk. Get over here, Odenkirk.
I wonder if that's his real name. That has to be a made-up name because that's an awesome name.
That's pretty cool.
My name is Odenkirk.
Yeah, I'm Odenkirk.
Hello.
It's the Nordic pronunciation.
It's like Thorsbach.
Yeah.
This is my brother Thor Spot. Play Zsa Zsa Ding Dong.
Odenkirk.
Play Zsa Zsa Ding Dong.
Odenkirk and Thor
Boy,
Spock.
We've been drinking.
I've been drinking it all.
Anyway. Oh, man. Okay, I did have a lot of fun with this movie.
Odenkirk and Thor Spock.
Oh my God, if you have twins, you have to.
Yes,
You 100% have to.
Oh, man. That's a goofy
Can
name.
you just change it to where like people will wonder? It's like Thorspick.
Thorspick.
Thorspick. Thorspick. That's his name. Yeah.
Anyway, Nobody. I did have a lot of fun with this movie. It's not the most unique thing in the world. It was okay. My suspension of disbelief was stretched just a little bit because I can't buy him. Like I buy the premise of like an like super awesome military dude that wants to live a normal life and then he gets sucked back into it. I'm okay with that.
I wasn't expecting this salt from you.
But he's like this freaking 120-pound older dude, and he's out there just taking down like 4 or 5 people at a time.
120 pounds. What?
He's a skinny little dude.
He's just a normal size dude.
He's
a
like regular size.
Skinny
He's
little
like
guy.
185,
You see him with his shirt off. He has no muscle tone whatsoever. And I'm not saying that every superhero
Yeah, but
has
that
to be
muscle
jacked.
has memory, and he used to be
That's
a
right.
badass.
Why are you hating on this?
I just don't buy it. I
All
didn't
right,
buy it.
so going into this, I didn't know anything about it.
'Kay.
Kadish kind of told me like what it's kind of about, and I was like, oh, this sounds awful. I loved it.
What?
I thought it was awesome.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, how often do you get to see
Christopher Lloyd, you mean?
yeah, how often do you get to see Christopher Lloyd be a badass?
I will say this.
I love every single scene with Christopher Lloyd.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yes,
Oh,
loved
like
it.
when you get to see Christopher Lloyd blowing people away with a shotgun with a shit-eating grin on his face.
He loved this movie.
Amazing.
I grew a dick and went from 6 to midnight.
I feel like he probably had a genuine good time.
Oh, I bet,
while
yeah.
Doing this movie.
He's like, you want me to do what? Oh, you're going to sit in this chair.
You realize I'm 90 years old, right?
That scene where he grabs the dude's gun and he puts his pinky where the hammer's supposed to be, and then he just smiles and he's like, you're fucked. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
That I loved. I really did. And I mean, of course, like by the end, we're kind of jumping all over the place, but by the end, when you have the team up of the main character, his friend, and then his dad, that was so over the top. They weren't going for
it wasn't his friend; it was his adopted brother,
okay,
played by RZA.
Oh,
of the
that's right
Wu-Tang
from the pic.
Clan.
That's
Is
right
that
from
what
the picture.
I didn't pick that. I just
Okay.
figured it was a old associate from back in when he was working.
No, apparently, so like it was his adoptive brother, and he was also a special forces guy who was in hiding, which is why he talked to him through the radio. And basically, he came at the end with their dad in order to help bail him out because otherwise he wouldn't have been able to take on all these Russians by himself.
Yeah.
Only one man can kill this many Russians.
There's only one man that could do this.
Yeah,
Six-string
six-string samurai.
I don't know what I felt about this movie. I watched this movie last night, and I'm still kind of processing it. I love this genre, but right now it feels like you know when studios they like see something that they didn't do, and they're
And they
like, oh,
wanna
well,
mimic
we
it?
got to make that.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like this is a wannabe John Wick movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes,
And-
and I agree with you.
And it's just like I had a good time with it. I enjoyed it, but in my head, I'm like, I want to go watch John Wick 4.
Yeah.
Is that what we're up to? 4?
Yep.
So it was fun, but it's like I've seen this. It's like, this like you said, this dude's gonna like beat these 6 dudes' ass on the bus. It's like, well, he's not John Wick. He's just
Well, and also
Well,
he gets really
he does
fucked
get- yeah, he
up
does
while
get
he's
hurt.
trying to do that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like
You
he's
can-
obviously been retired for a while.
You can tell how rusty he is because
Yeah.
he gets beat to shit, but he's taken on like 6 guys at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this movie, it was based on an idea by Bob Odenkirk. And basically he went through a situation where he had a home invasion and he trapped the people who had broken into his house in his basement until the police got there. And he always wondered what, like if he was like a badass and could have taken matters into his own hands, what he would have done with these people who broke into his house. And so he teamed up with Derek Kolstad, who's the guy who wrote the John Wick movies, to create this film.
okay.
And they got Ilya Naishuller.
Wonder Woman's mom?
No. So like he directed this movie, and he was I didn't know this when we first watched it, but he had previously directed a movie called Hardcore Harry, which was an all first person point of view action movie.
You guys, anybody watch that besides me?
I haven't seen
No,
it.
but just based on
Did
the
you?
name, I want to.
I don't know if you'd like it as much as you think.
Oh, really?
It's not a good movie.
It's a
Okay.
it's a GoPro movie.
Yeah. So like basically the entire thing's done from a first person point of view where you never see the hero's like face. But you see everything through his eyes.
Sounds like
and
that'd
it's
make
all
me
done
dizzy.
in like long like one
Yeah, single shot.
single shots. Yeah. But it was an interesting movie, and I had no idea that he was the same director. He's a Russian director. And like I felt like he did a fantastic job with this movie.
The movie itself is not bad.
Yeah, that's
the premise is fine. Everything's fine. I don't have any problems with it. The fight scenes are really fun to watch. Like you said, it's cool to watch him. Like he's obviously rusty. What I think maybe would have sold me a little bit more on it is if in that bus scene, he wouldn't have walked away. He would have been like down and out and ended up in the hospital and realized that he needs to like start getting himself back into shape.
You wanted a workout montage?
I need a workout montage. There needs to be a point where he goes from shit, I'm rusty to, okay, now I'm back in the game. There was no transition for that.
It's like in my head, John Wick and Nobody exist in the same world.
Yeah, I could see that.
You know what I mean? But I think that there's some world building that goes on in this. It's not a lot, but I just feel like the Wick movies are more.
Well,
They're like
more,
super.
yeah, they're like
They almost have powers in the John
Right,
Wick
yeah.
movies.
Right.
Like they're over the top.
I mean,
badass.
I feel that way about this guy too, though.
I mean,
It's just-
Kolstad has said that like they wanted there to be some crossover between Nobody and John Wick.
Yeah,
That'd be funny.
and that the only thing is that different studios own the movies.
right.
So like any crossover is going to be like kind of subversive. Like they're just going to kind of slide it in there. But
Yeah, that happened before.
there are four things in this movie that really stand out to me. The first is the fight scene on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
The second is when he goes to the tattoo shop where he's trying to track down the people who invaded his house, and there's this like
Yeah.
old crusty like veteran there.
Yeah.
And they start calling him on his shit because he's trying to pass himself off as an
That's
FBI
old,
agent.
Dad's old FBI.
And then the veteran sees his dead man's hand tattoo, and he recognizes what it means, and
he immediately goes, "Thank you for your service." Bye.
and he goes and he locks himself in this like room with a steel door.
Dude,
and he like closes.
It was so funny
the
because
window.
he closes the door and you hear clink, click, 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 slide, click, 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 slide, and then he peeks his head out the little window and he goes, slide.
and the guys who are about to fight, Bob Odenkirk
immediately get freaked out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they see him do all this and they're like, oh, okay, we get.
There's three types of
Something is
people.
amiss.
Yeah, there's three types of people that flash this kind of cash. It's the ones who are not smart enough to figure out not to do it or something like that. And he goes, and then the ones like me who wishes somebody will try to take it from him. I'm like, God damn.
That's a badass scene.
It was.
Yeah, like that scene just made me chuckle because I was like, okay, that's how this would really go down if someone recognized that, and the rest of the guys were just like, whoa, okay. So that was the second scene. The third scene is the car chase, all set to Pat Benatar.
You're a heartbreaker, dream maker, love taking.
Oh yeah.
Which was fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
I loved
that
it.
scene.
The whole soundtrack of this.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is good.
Music's
Yeah.
pretty good.
But that, I mean, like he's in the stolen muscle car.
That he
And
swipes from his dickhead neighbor.
Yeah.
The neighbor who was like, if those guys had come into my house,
I
I
would've.
wish those guys had come into my
Yeah.
house. And he's like, oh, I'm going to take your shit, dude.
But the car was like he got from his inheritance from his dad or whatever, who he didn't
Yeah.
even like. It's like, oh, no reason to mourn.
Yeah.
Got a cool car out of my
And-
dad.
and
dying.
so Odenkirk
So-
or Hutch steals it and uses it to basically lure the Russians into an ambush. And that entire scene, it's just like it's set to the Pat Benatar, you're the right kind of win.
The assault on his house I thought that was pretty badass because he's making dinner for his family.
Oh, yeah.
He made the lasagna. He looks outside. He sees the SUVs pull up and he's like, all right, everybody into the basement. Opens up some secret panel, freaking hits the switch, opens up the
that his
thing.
wife and kids did not know.
No
existed.
clue existed. Lock him in the basement and say, "Don't call 911." And then
No
like
matter what you hear.
yeah, and then the following 15 minutes was just pure badassery.
And then when he lets his family out of the cellar, there's just like
Dead bodies everywhere.
dead bodies everywhere. His poor kids.
Yeah.
His daughter's like, "Can I have a cab?"
So what was going through my head during that scene was, they set it up earlier that his son thinks he's a total dickhead.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So then they walk out of the basement. It's like, I wish they would have played up on his kid's reaction a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have
It's
been
like,
nice.
Yeah.
Holy shit! What did my dad just do to all these?
Yeah,
guys?
because go ahead.
Sorry. In the beginning, his son has to do a report on a veteran.
Yeah.
yeah,
And he's been living this like
Boring
lie
life. Yeah.
of I was in the military, but I was only like a records keeper or
He's an
something
auditor.
like
He
that.
calls himself an auditor.
An auditor, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Boring.
the mom is like, "Oh, why don't you call your uncle? He was a real serviceman or something like that."
Yeah.
And so the kid just thinks like his dad is like this just
Lamest person ever.
lamest
Loser.
person ever. But like the scene where she's stitching him up, like she's obviously part of the lie. Like she knows because she was like, "This is like old days."
they never really played up on what exactly she knows.
Yeah,
though.
they've never really made
Yeah.
it clear, but like to me, it was clear like he used to be this badass, and then they decided he's going to retire. They're going to have a life, and it seemed like I just got this whole like alternate story. Like he decided he's going to leave that life behind so that he can have a life with his family.
Well, and that's what it was.
Yeah.
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 So to me, it was clear like she knew what this was about.
Because they explained that later in the movie where he told the story about the guy he was going to kill,
Yeah.
and he let him go, which was abnormal because he said, "I just want to leave the world. I want to go get a wife and have kids and be normal." And he went and checked on him a year later,
And he did exactly
and he did
that.
exactly that.
Yeah.
And he was happy, and that's when he decided.
And he's like, "God."
So,
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
well, so I said there were 4 like really highlights for me in this movie.
Ah.
The bus fight, the part where the guy locks himself in that room, and the Pat Benatar car chase. But the last part was probably the best bad guy killing I'd ever seen on film, which is at the end of the movie. Hutch takes this like piece of industrial like glass that's like super thick and tapes a freaking landmine
Claymore.
to the front of it, rushes the Russian guy Kuznetsov,
Russian bad
Sure.
guy, dude.
Yeah, Russian bad guy.
Russian bad guy name.
who has like an automatic weapon. He's shooting at him, and as soon as he gets within like a foot of him, he activates this claymore and just blows him away. And it was like the coolest death scene I think I've seen in a film in a long
He
time.
pulls a Captain America
He's
and just
just
like
skin
hides
and
behind the
shit
shield.
dripping off his face.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it was a pretty bad. It was a very creative kill too.
Oh yeah.
But it was one of those things where like that ending fight scene where they're taking on like the entire freaking Russian mafia.
Yeah,
The 3 dudes. Obviously, it's kind of tongue in cheek. You've got a 90-year-old Christopher Lloyd blowing people with a shotgun.
But he also kind of sets up all these booby traps
Yeah.
ahead of time. So like he's got like this one thing where it's like a bullet on a mousetrap on a door, and when someone like kind of peeks through the mousetrap, fires the gun
Through the
bullet
peephole.
through the peephole, and,
And
like,
Really ingenious
yeah,
booby traps.
yeah, and he has them set up all along the wall, so it just blows the freaking wall apart and shoots people on the other side.
and there's this one scene where RZA like takes out 3 guys with one rifle.
Oh, yeah, that was
shot. Yeah,
Triple kill.
yeah. I was like, they stole that from The Last Jedi.
I like this.
Deadpool. It was a Deadpool move.
Oh,
but
man.
I mean, like this movie, like if you're a fan of action movies, there's so much fun stuff in this.
Yeah.
And if you like the
sure.
John Wick movies, this is like John Wick adjacent.
Yeah.
This is like
Yeah, for sure.
that same kind of action and comedy and
Yeah.
world building.
There's
and
more shooting though, and well, I don't know.
This had a lot of shooting. In
Yeah,
it.
but I'm saying in the Wick movies, it's more kung fu-y, more
Yeah.
gun
Yes,
fu.
gun
Yeah.
fu.
Yeah,
This is more.
realistic.
It was like
Well, I don't know
it
about
was
that.
like MacGyver meets John Wick.
Kind
Because he's
of.
just
Okay.
like, I'm on a bus. What
I'm-
can I use?
I'm
I'm gonna
into
use this. I'm gonna kill this guy
Yeah.
with it.
I will say.
and then when he
Oh, he puts
does
the trick him out.
trick-
Of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he's breathing out of the straw.
he breaks this guy's
He
throat
breaks his
Trachea.
neck.
or
yeah.
something, and the guy is like drowning in his own blood,
Yeah.
and he
Well,
cuts.
no, he crushed his windpipe.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that. So he like tricks him. He puts like a straw and he like walks away and he's like, you should probably get to the hospital. So he saves the guy's life, but because he saved that guy and that guy turned out to be some Russian mob's son or brother or
Set up the
something.
whole thing.
This is what set up the whole rest of the movie.
Yeah, and when Hutch finally comes face to face with Kuznetsov, and he says like, you killed my brother, and he's like, he was alive last time I saw him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And also, he's like, and you didn't even like him that much.
Yeah.
and he's like, it's the principle of
It's
the
like,
thing.
you
Yeah.
came to my house.
Yeah. You don't
You-
fucking
you
do that.
Broke the rules.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
It's cool. I will say, like, although I had to stretch my suspension of disbelief a little bit to see him physically in this role, as far as attitude and just overall grit, I think he fit the part really well.
Yeah.
Like his constant, just like grumpy cat face the entire time, I was on board. And then when he realized his daughter's bracelet was gone and he just like snaps, he's like, that's it. I can't do it.
That's it.
It was all good. Like the acting was on point. His character motivation was on point. The way he just kind of like was that like beat down, I'm bored. And then
See, I didn't know what this movie was about going into it. I really didn't know anything about it. So I was kind of like figuring that this was going to be like a
Like falling down.
falling
falling down. Okay.
down kind of thing.
gotcha.
Where he just snaps.
Yeah.
And kind of goes crazy and goes on a killing spree. So the movie went that way, but it was a completely different direction from what I thought.
Mhm.
I thought they were going to make him like a bad guy,
Well,
but he's like the good guy. You know, it was just I didn't know where we were going.
Well,
with
well,
this.
you know what's interesting is like there's a scene where he's talking to his brother over the radio, and he says like why he didn't take out those intruders because he was about to
Yeah.
you know, he was about taking down. Then he realized, oh, that gun's not loaded.
Yeah.
These people are just desperate. I'm just gonna let them go because I don't want to go down that path anymore.
The part where they showed us that what he saw with the gun being unloaded, I immediately said, "Oh,
Yeah. It opened up a whole new.
okay, I see where we're going here now."
Yeah.
yeah. It was
And then when he tracks them down and he realizes that they have like a baby that's in need of like medical attention
Oxygen.
and stuff like that.
That was pretty sad. I was like, because obviously going through the movie, you're on the same page as him, and you're like, oh, I can't wait for him to get revenge on these freaking assholes who robbed him. And then he gets there and he sees the baby, and it's just a couple who are just completely desperate for money, and they're like, it kind of hit like a little harder than I expected it to.
Really well written.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he goes out in the alley.
That was
and
a
starts
nice
punching the wall. And then when he sees like the Russians get on the bus, he's like, oh, thank God. I need something to like take my anger out on.
Yeah, his fists had blue balls.
Yeah.
He needed to get that angry jizz out.
Yeah, but Bob Odenkirk actually spent 2 years
Angry jizz.
training for this role. So like he
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Just put on a little bit more muscle next time, buddy.
Oh, you dick.
Come on.
I believed
he's
it.
all right.
He's the dad bod action hero.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, he's this guy who's a badass,
Yeah.
and then he retires. I bought it.
Okay.
Like he's not like this guy coming out of retirement and he rips off his clothes and he's got like chiseled everything. He's not Jason Statham. He's a guy who used to be this badass, but he's been out of it for so long.
Yeah.
I felt like it was 100% accurate.
works for his father-in-law.
if that were a real person.
Bloody job.
Michael Ironside's in this freaking movie.
Yeah.
Holy
Talk
shit.
about a guy who needs to get back in shape.
Yeah.
God damn,
Michael
dude.
Fat inside.
Look, I have a special place in my heart for Michael Ironside. Not only is he awesome because of all the 80s movies he kind of cameos in, like Total Recall and stuff like that, but like he plays one of my all-time favorite fictional characters, Sam Fisher.
One of the greatest voices of all time.
Fantastic voice actor. Anytime he's in an animated show or something like that, he just kills it. And I did not expect to see him in this movie. And then I was like, whoa, what happened to Michael Ironside, dude?
I didn't even recognize him.
He is huge.
He got old, is what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Old
know,
fat.
but gosh, man, that's a big dude now. But I still love him though. Awesome. It was really cool to see him.
I'm sure he's
Yeah.
happy to hear that.
Thanks, Jude.
You're welcome.
Reality check. All right. Anybody got anything else you want to add
Well,
about this movie?
Who wants to rate it?
Okay.
Rate it.
Do you wanna
want me
start?
Want me to rate it?
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
3.5. I'll give it 3.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, because while I do think it's a Wick ripoff, I did enjoy this movie and I had a lot of fun with it. Yeah, it was good stuff. And it was A blah.
Yeah,
blah.
man.
There's your
It was good.
there's your
Watch it.
official-
Yeah.
a blah.
Yeah.
Okay, Jude, how about you?
Okay, so I feel like John Wick is now its own kind of genre. So in the realm of Jean,
Jean-Claude Van Wick.
the French pronunciation,
John Wick.
Jean Wick. In the now, God damn it, in the genre of John Wick.
Let's call it gun fu cinema.
There you go.
Okay, in that genre,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was really well.
What happened to you?
Swear to God, I haven't even had a single drink today.
Vader's rubbing off on you.
He's been trying to.
On a pond par.
He just walks around showing me two fingers all the time. Anyway, so in the genre of John Wick movies,
There you go.
I will give this 3 out of 5 John Wicks.
Okay.
I just thought it was really well written, really well acted, and I thought it was really believable.
Okay, cool. Kadish?
I loved this movie. I had a lot of fun watching it. I felt like it was very creative and it had a lot of good stuff to it. I give this 4 out of 5 old man Christopher Lloyd badasses. So, yeah, this movie was so much fun. I loved it.
I have to say, because they had Christopher Lloyd in this movie, I'm really grateful that they didn't do any like Back to the Future nods or anything like that. The closest thing that they had was he was watching a Western, which is Back to the Future 3 was a Western. So
You're stretching that.
I'm just saying I'm really glad that they didn't do that route, because it would have been so easy for them to have him like, oh, can you say Great Scott one time? Like, I'm so glad they didn't do that. So good job on the movie. For me, this is I'm probably gonna say 3-star movie. It was fun. I don't have any major problems with it. I was just the character himself physically. I was having a hard time believing that he could do the things that he was doing, but that's really my only issue. But everything else was great. Acting was great. Fight scenes were fun.
I mean, like, he's no more muscular than Keanu Reeves is. So
Keanu Reeves is like 6'2". He's a big dude,
not like, bulk wise.
and he's doing a lot of like.
Don't be talking shit about Keanu, man.
Yeah,
Keanu-
you're treading
he's
thin
breathtaking.
ice.
Come on.
Keanu does a lot of like jujitsu moves where he's like folding people around and doing those kind of. This was just brute strength. He was just punching people.
Yes.
And that's
And taking hits.
and taking a lot of hits.
Yeah, he got messed up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole time he's walking around like a little schlub with his short sleeve shirts and his jacket.
And he's all
zipped up
hunched
to here.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
his like combed precisely hair.
I would love to see some sequels to this.
Oh, I'm
yeah.
down.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
mind
for sure.
that.
For
Or
sure.
a prequel.
And I think they kind of set that up in the credit scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does this house have a basement?
Yeah.
No. When Dad and brother were in the Winnebago. Did you guys not watch the credits?
Is it after credit scene?
I didn't see an after credit
Well,
scene.
you need to
Whoa, there we go.
Wow.
Anyway,
it's mid credits.
3-star movie for me. Highly recommend go watching it, especially if you can go to a local theater and check it out. Support your theaters. Go there, grab some popcorn and a drink, and go check out Nobody. It's a lot of fun. All right, guys, that's it for our discussion of Nobody. Thanks for joining us. Go to saltynerdclub.com, join our Patreon, or just like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. All right, where can we find everybody on the socials? Matt Vader.
You can find me at MattVader74 on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And I think that's about it right now.
Jude.
You can find me at I am Jude Juju on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
And Matthew Kadish.
You can find me at Matthew Kadish, Kadish on Twitter, and KadishBooks.com will take you to my Amazon page.
And I am the Salty Nerd, and you catch me on Twitter at salty_nerd. And as always, stay salty, my friends.